Part 108. Heaven-Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1081. Hey, isn't this my most popular brother Li, who is known as the one appointed by the ancient emperor? At such a young age, he has reached the 4th level of the Soul Tower. How did he do it? Who? Ran. When? Ran? N. Wu Yu heard a little girl's voice, very smart and soft. This voice reminded people of a lively and cute little girl with a little baby fat on her face, big eyes, and cuteness. However, she called Li Dai's brother, so she should be Li Dai's sister. Moreover, Wu Yu felt that the person who came was a certain threat, which showed that she was not weak. When everyone turned around quickly, Wu Yu saw 4 people walking quickly on the horizon. They might be nearby. The green bird here was very noisy, which would obviously attract them to come here. Wu Yu and his friends had just arrived at the 4th level and were not familiar with it after all. Wu Yu quickly saw the person who was talking. It was a woman. To be honest, her appearance was quite different from what Wu Yu imagined from her voice. She was a woman full of mature charm, even more charming than Xianxing and Xianchen. She should be quite old. Such a peach-like beauty is actually quite popular. Such appearance and exquisite figure can make people imagine infinite tenderness. But her dress was different. She was wearing a light pink long skirt, with bows, flowers, and other things on her body, as well as some very young decorations. These dresses were very similar to her voice, but this would give Wu Yu some visual confusion, and he couldn't tell whether she was a little girl or a big beauty. But from the word yin at the center of her eyebrows, Wu Yu recognized her identity. He didn't expect that this was the legendary 9th Emperor's daughter, Yin Emperor's daughter. In fact, the first 10 emperors and emperors born always received more attention at the beginning, such as Emperor Yu's son, Emperor Xiao's son, and Emperor 11's daughter. They are older and more experienced. In the early years when there were not many emperors, they were particularly noble. Moreover, they were relatively young at that time, and the future seemed full of infinite possibilities. In the past 100 years, they have gradually aged, and it seems that there is little hope for them to become immortals, so they have gradually been ignored. Back then, Emperor Yu was also the famous first emperor's son, Emperor Xiao was the second disciple, and Emperor 11 was the third emperor's daughter. They were the first 3 children of the ancient emperor, and the age difference was not very big, only about 10 years. The Emperor Yin in front of them can barely be considered as their batch, but she is more than 70 years older than Emperor Yu. She ranks 9th among the emperors and daughters, and was once the 9th emperor's daughter. When she was young, she was also very famous, because she was a willful master, and suffered a lot of losses, and of course she also made others suffer more losses. It's just that now that she is old, she has restrained herself a little. Her current strength is the 6th level of the 3 disasters asking realm. This realm is relatively normal and slightly better for the emperor's sons and daughters. After entering the ancient soul tower, relying on the advantage of years of cultivation, she is actually one of the strong competitors. After all, there are only a few emperors and daughters who are stronger than her. The reputation of the emperor's daughter is not particularly good until now. When she was young, she was self-indulgent and willful. Now, because she is surrounded by men, she is occasionally criticized. Of course, as time goes by, fewer and fewer people will discuss her. Maybe this is what she fears. For example, now, the 3 strong men around her, surrounding her like the moon surrounded by stars, are all men. These 3 men are all strong men, and their realms are similar to that of the emperor's daughter, and they may be at the same level as the emperor's son Yu in terms of age. Compared with the 3 of them, the emperor's daughter looks younger. After seeing her, Li Dai's face was not very good, probably the same feeling as when he saw Yu Daize. Anyway, Le Diza thought that none of these old guys were easy to deal with, and they all had a common problem, that is, they were jealous of Le Diza and were also afraid of Le Diza, because maybe they were a group of people abandoned by time, or Le Diza was the one supported by time. Compared with them, Le Diza's biggest asset was an unlimited future, while they only had old age. Because Le Diza was hostile, Wu Yu naturally had to pay special attention to him. The fourth level of the Soul Tower was particularly troublesome. Even if he wanted to escape, he couldn't fly into the air, he could only fight on the ground. Moreover, the other party was 4 6th-level Taoists, all of whom were senior practitioners. They were more difficult to deal with than Ling Han. If the 4 of them got together and really fought, it might be a deadly battle. Wu Yu first saw a tall and sturdy man who looked like a bear. He was a bald man with a fierce and sharp face, a kind of rough beauty, and surging muscle lines all over his body. His hair was thick and he looked like a giant bear standing on his head from a distance. The daughter of the Emperor of Yin beside him looked like a doll. Her palms were particularly huge, and it seemed that she could completely hold a person's head and crush it. Even when she walked, the ground would shake. This is the Emperor of Yin's envoy Xuanhuan. Xuanhuan is the patriarch of a small tribe, brutal beast tribe in our ancient country. It is said that he has ancient blood from ancient times and comes from a demon of the heaven-defying level. Although it is a small tribe, this patriarch is quite powerful, which is why he can become the Emperor of Yin. The delicate daughter of the Emperor of Yin actually has such a rough-looking Xuanhuan as the Emperor of Yin. The difference is really big. Wu Yu noticed another person, a middle-aged scribe, wearing a brocade robe, standing on the other side of the married emperor's daughter, closer to the married emperor's daughter, holding a folding fan in his hand, with a folding fan on it. The Country and Mountains scroll is different from the beautiful woman at Nanshan Mountain. The whole painting gives people a very calm and dignified look, and looks very decent. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. This is Zhang Wenyu, the eldest son of Duke Zhang, who is also the consort of the emperor's daughter-in-law. Her Taoist companion. Wu Yu took a closer look and found that Zhang Wenyu was not a Taoist companion who looked like the daughter of the in-laws, because there did not seem to be an equal relationship between the two of them, but a kind of support. Zhang Wenyu and the in-laws made Xuanhuan. They also surrounded her and held her high. The other one is somewhat similar to Zhang Wenyu, but his hair is messy and his clothes are messy. He is holding a wine bottle in his hand and walking staggeringly. He always has a weird smile on his face, with his chest and abdomen exposed, and he is bohemian. Wu Yu doesn't think highly of him when he still acts like a fool at his age. This is Zhang Qiagong's second son, Zhang Wuzhu. He has also been with the wife of the emperor for decades. These 3 people are very strong. As a group of 4 of them, they can reach the 7th level, but they are still at the 4th level. Turn around. Meeting them, Emperor Zi seemed to feel a little unlucky. Zhang Qiagong is a very powerful man in the ancient Yanhuang kingdom. It is said that he is close to becoming an immortal, but he is very old. It is estimated that he will return to the West in less than 30 years. Maybe Zhang Wenyu can inherit his official position by then. Emperor Yu glanced at the daughter-in-law again and said, "To be honest, no matter whether it is the emperor's envoy, the consort, or the consort's brother, they are all her concubines. This woman has always been ruthless and self-indulgent. When faced with her, she must be careful not to get in her way." Emperor Zi reminded. Concubine, this opened Wu Yu's eyes. A Taoist concubine, an imperial envoy, a Taoist concubine's younger brother, and an emperor's daughter could all mix together peacefully. This was a state of affairs. At least Zhang Wenyu was the consort. It's really admirable that she can endure it, or maybe it's because the daughter-in-law is actually too strong. From the beginning, Zhang Wenyu was just one of the favors, and she just gave him the title of consort. No wonder he was following along so low-key. Wu Yu remembered that there was a woman named Emperor Ying. Her imperial envoy was a woman, but the two of them had a good relationship. In addition, the prince-in-law was left aside, so there were so many emperors, and some of them were indeed strange. In the blink of an eye, the four of them arrived in front of Wu Yu and the others. In fact, the four of them were also looking at this place along the way, especially Wu Yu. When they got closer, they could see clearly. After looking at each other, their expressions became serious. The marriage emperor's daughter stared at the emperor's son and said, "My good brother, when did you reach the realm of the three disasters?" Emperor Zi smiled and said, "It's been a while, and my sister-in-law doesn't seem to pay much attention to me." He must not be at a disadvantage during the conversation with her. After hearing this, the daughter-in-law chuckled and said, "I didn't expect that brother you would be so dishonest at such a young age and learn to lie. Do I know what realm you came from?" "So, ancient emperor, is the Dao Palace inside this ancient Soul Tower? You actually took an outsider to a place where our brothers and sisters have never dreamed of going. This is not good, Prince Consort, what do you think?" The daughter-in-law looked at Xuanhuan with delicate eyes and wrapped her delicate hands around his arm, like a little girl. Xuanhuan said seriously, "Emperor, you should take her to visit the ancient emperor's Dao Palace. She has longed for it since she was a child. This is too important to her." This was a decision they made after seeing the changes in Emperor Yu's son. However, Emperor Yu shook his head and said, "It's not necessary, because Emperor Yu took me there. He said that it can only help you and Shen ask questions, but it has no effect on you." Perhaps the marriage emperor's daughter had guessed it, but she showed a disappointed look. She looked at the marriage emperor's messenger Xuanhuan on the other side, and said with a slight cry, "But I just want to take a look." Every time Xuanhuan takes a breath, he can feel the vibration in his chest like a giant beast. Wu Yu has also felt the smell of gunpowder between the two parties. What they don't know is that on the Fengguo Tianyuan platform, the picture on the fourth mirror has not changed even after 30 breaths of time. Did the ancient emperor let us see the whole story of what happened to the emperor's son and his daughter-in-law? As a result, everyone's eyes focused on the fourth mirror. They saw the emperor and his wife again. Wu Yu and the others. /U003 sem /U003e. Special topic preview of the hottest serial novels. Book list: Mystery and Suspense, Ancient Tomb Horrors. Event: Final countdown to Online Literature League selection. Special topic: Complete this classic, no need to catch up on updates. /U003c/m /U003e. If q.storage, read type, equal to /U0026 /U0026, VIP chapter /U003c0, /U003c SCR plus IPT SRC equals add/V, 8 equals H5-01 /U003E /U003c SCR plus IPT /U003E. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1082. What's going on? The Emperor's son and the ninth daughter. The young boys and girls who stayed outside, as well as the supreme beings of the major forces, noticed that the fourth mirror remained unchanged for a long time. At the same time, the images in the other mirrors have changed several times. The more this is the case, the more it shows that there will be something strange here. From the beginning to now, except for the appearance of the Yanhuang Golden Pearl, there has been no situation where the image has been frozen for a long time. The Yanhuang clan itself, the regent, many uncles, many princes and ministers, etc., are now full of doubts. Not to mention other people, the major cultivation empires from the Yanhuang ancient domain, no matter how big or small, or demons, and the major sea demons from the sea, those overlord level beings are now attracted, all of them are discussing, and some are frowning. When Luo Bin saw Wu Yu, her eyes brightened a little, but from her experience, the postures of the four people of Yin Emperor's daughter did not seem to be chatting. Meeting such an opponent, this time it is estimated that it is more dangerous than good, Lian Shenye along said. Do you think so? Luo Bin's tone was slightly dissatisfied. Unless he escapes alone, but it seems that he has a good relationship with the other two, so he won't. So, if the two of them fight, they will probably be humiliated. Luo Bin looked at him, then turned back to continue looking at the mirror. The red blood-horned demon dragon next to him glared at the refining god demon dragon, signaling him to speak less. The refining god demon dragon shook his head and smiled softly, somewhat disdainful. In addition, the eyes of Phoenix Lord, the undead demon lord, the underworld emperor, the starry sky sword emperor, etc. are all more subtle. Now it is obvious that it has reached the second half, and there are fierce battles everywhere. There are many wonderful scenes in the ancient Soul Tower, but these two people are shown alone. What does the ancient emperor mean? At this time, Wu Yu is also one of the focuses of the entire Yanfa world, but he doesn't know it himself. They are inside and have no idea when they will be noticed outside. So if they all tie their hands and feet together, it would be better to let it go. The current situation is that the daughter of the Emperor Yin insisted on going to the ancient Emperor Dao Palace to take a look. She did not believe what the son of the Emperor Le said, which was ineffective for her. The son of the Emperor Le could only shake his head and said, Sister Yin, I'm really sorry. We finally came to the fourth level of the Soul Tower. It is impossible to return to the second level. Moreover, this ancient Soul Tower is so chaotic that it is basically impossible for us to find the ancient Emperor Dao Palace if we go back. Hearing this, the daughter of the Emperor Yin looked at the three men around her, her face full of grievances, and said, At most, I will take you down and bring you back. The son-in-law Xuanhuan said, Sister Le, you should listen to your sister Yin. We can promise that when we get to the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, we will go to the ancient Emperor Dao Palace. Dao Palace, after seeing clearly, we will take you back to the fourth level. Zhang was who beside him crossed his arms, smiled coldly, and said, If you ask me, it may be that Emperor Le has already obtained the benefits of the ancient Emperor Dao Palace and improved his competitiveness. At this time, he naturally does not want other brothers and sisters to have good fortune. I can understand this feeling. Then the Emperor Yin envoy Xiongzhan said, In this case, Emperor Le is so selfish and does not care about the relationship between siblings, so we don't need to be polite, just take them to the Soul Tower. Just look for it in the second level. If Le Daisy had known better, he might not be so embarrassed. After hearing this, the daughter of Emperor Yin said in a tender voice, You three should not be like this. He is my brother. How can you treat him so rudely? I think my brother will definitely be willing to take me to see it. Seeing their drama, Wu Yu laughed directly. He was next to Le Daisy and said, Come on, we are not 3-year-old children. The four of you should not perform in front of us. Just based on the posture of the four of you just coming, I know that the four of you will definitely want to fight with Le Daisy when you see him. Suppressing him can show your power and teach a lesson to your little brother who is ignorant and trying to show off. Even if you didn't find out that we had been to the ancient Emperor Dao Palace, you would have found other excuses. Since Zhang Wuzhu and the Emperor Yin's envoy have made it clear that they are threatening us, why don't the daughter of the Emperor Yin be more straightforward? This timid posture is not suitable for your age. If you want to say that the most lethal part of Wu Yu's words is not the straightforward words in front, but the last sentence, the last two words age. He knew at a glance that the daughter of the Emperor Yin, who was already this old, was still dressed like a little princess and was held by three men. What she didn't want to be exposed by others was her age. She had been practicing Taoism for more than 400 years, which was still considered middle-aged, equivalent to 40 years old for ordinary people, but what she longed for was still the age of 20. For example, The current age of Wu Yu and others in Taoism is equivalent to 5 years old for ordinary people, and there are still infinite possibilities in the future. This sentence was equivalent to directly igniting the daughter of Emperor Yin and causing her to explode. Wu Yu did this because he knew that based on the situation of the other party today, they must make things difficult for Emperor Yu. If they didn't suppress Emperor Yu, they would definitely not give up. In this case, he should be straightforward and avoid wasting time by whining too much. Of course, he also knew very well that the 4 opponents were not Ling Han and the others. The difficulty of these 4 people had reached the limit that Wu Yu and the others could bear, but this was also a challenge. Wu Yu was good fighting, especially his indestructible Vajra body from the fighting and defeating Buddha. He is yearning for any battle. His body always has endless fighting passion, no matter how difficult the opponent is, even if it is just a cheetah but encounters a tiger. What he broke out was only more intense fighting passion. Wu Yu was ready. As soon as he finished speaking, the iron-winged 7-star insects formed the 7-star guardian formation and surrounded the 4 emperors, guarding them in the spherical space. Wu Yu suddenly kicked, and the 7-star guardian formation rolled out on the grassland. From afar, his other puppet, Silver Moon Mantis, chased after them and stood guard next to the 7-star guardian formation to protect them. Emperor Zi and the others couldn't get involved in this kind of battle, so Wu Yu simply and skillfully got him out of the fighting circle first, and then the main combat power here. He himself had the main body, the sky-swallowing body and fireflies, plus Nanshan Wanyu and Yezixi are barely enough to deal with the other 4, but it will definitely be a huge test, so it depends on how their opponents weigh the gains and losses. Meeting someone like Wu Yu who was not polite at all could only be regarded as the daughter-in-law's bad luck. At that moment, she was so angry that her face turned livid and her whole body trembled. The 3 of them almost failed to hold her steady. Wu Yu is saying that she is pretending to be young, which is her reverse. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! The emperor-in-law was trembling as she spoke. Her bloodshot eyes were fixed on Wu Yu, and she said kill him 3 times in a row. The emperor's daughter-in-law was so angry, and the expressions in the eyes of the 3 of them were similar to those of Wu Yu who killed their old mother. Zhang Wenyu said, taking nonsense and slandering the emperor's daughter is a crime worthy of death. Zhang Wuzhu sneered and said, stop talking nonsense to him. I'll send this daring guy back to the west. Oh no, that's not what I'm good at. What I'm good at is torturing you until you beg me to kill you. I'm coming. The marriage emperor made the bear chop like a violent bear. At this time, a storm was set off in his chest. He just heard his roar, which made the earth tremble. At this time, he overwhelmed the brothers Zhang Wenyu and Zhang Wuzhu. Striding forward, with a shocking aura erupting from his whole body, he first came towards Wu Yu to suppress it. In front of this violent bear, people looked at Wu Yu and the others like pitiful and trembling little rabbits. Why did he anger the marriage emperor's daughter? Isn't he seeking death? I know he is very powerful now, but there are 4 people on the other side. Bailey Xuanhuan looked at him from a distance and was still trembling with fear. Shut up. Wu Yu will be like this whether he says it or not. What changes is that the other party is angry now instead of playing tricks on us. Xuanhuan saw clearly that he encountered such competition as Emperor Yu here. The opponent, the marriage emperor's daughter, who obviously had a huge advantage, could not let go of this great opportunity. Emperor Yu put his hands on the inside of the 7-star guarding formation, his eyes flashing with stars as he watched the 3 of Wu Yu and the other 4 confront each other. The picture in his eyes was also the picture of the onlookers outside. A fight is about to begin. It seems that Wu Yu offended the daughter-in-law by saying something. Look at how angry the daughter-in-law is. This emperor's envoy must have indeed said something unforgivable. It seems that he has offended Nilin, the daughter of the emperor marriage. I really don't know what he said. However, this is indeed a good show. Looking at the posture of the married emperor's daughter, will Wu Yu die in the battle? What you should consider is whether the emperor-in-law's daughter will kill Emperor Yu's son after Wu Yu dies in the battle. That would be cool. Then Wu Yu is an imperial envoy. It would be strange if the emperor-in-law's daughter is so furious that she doesn't kill him. Even though the emperor is alive, he may suffer a heavy blow and completely lose the opportunity to compete for the flame golden pearl. In fact, for the emperor's sons and daughters, they are really the best among each other and within this ancient soul tower. My biggest enemy, letting his children fight here and allowing outsiders to watch the battle, what did the ancient emperor think? I think the ancient emperor was wise. Only the one who wins in the fight can hold the future of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom and the Yanhuang clan. Then who will succeed? In this comparison, the older emperors will take advantage, such as Emperor Yu, Emperor Xiao, Emperor 11's daughter, Emperor Wei, etc. Not necessarily. It's not certain who will win. Apart from the emperors of the Yanhuang tribe, there are many others with the same strength. From the beginning to now, I haven't seen any advantages of the Yanhuang tribe. Let's wait and see. Anyway, this time, Wu Yu and the others will return to the west, which is pretty certain. In their sight, on the vast grassland, the marriage emperor sent Xuanhuan to suppress them step by step. At this time, Nanshan Wanjiao stepped forward and said, "You little beast with well-developed limbs and simple mind, follow grandpa here and let grandpa teach you. You know what a good woman is, but your tastes are too complex." Wu Yu smiled. This guy was actually qualified to comment on other people's tastes. When he was in the Hell Sea prison, he said that as long as it was a female, it would be fine. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1083. Nanshan looked at the moon and saw that Wu Yu had offended everyone anyway. Adding fuel to the fire was just a piece of cake. When it came to talking nonsense, he had to go beyond Wu Yu by several realms. Tisk, 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 this big man has such a strong body, can the emperor and daughter bear it? Don't look at me. I know that I am handsome and handsome. I am not just a little bit more charming than the three around you, but I am a very down-to-earth person and not interested in old women, so my daughter, please don't look at me so affectionately. Nanshan Wanjiao waved her beauty folding fan and said with a smile on her face, very charmingly. This was a real blow to Nanshan Wanjiao. The daughter-in-law was even dumbfounded. She had been told this to her face all her life. At this time, she could not say anything. She could only point at Nanshan Wanjiao and shout, "This one is going to die too. Cut off his tongue first. Cut it off." Okay. Okay, Xuanhuan was about to crush a group of people alone. At this time, the emperor's daughter-in-law roared, and Nanshan Wanjiao was pointed at this, and he quickly fled to the left as if he was afraid. Xuanhuan, just like a giant beast, it chased him directly on the grassland. Wherever he went, the grassland turned into scorched earth. In fact, at this time, Emperor Yu was quickly introducing the power of these people to Wu Yu. In fact, they were all about the same strength, with different types. For example, Xuanhuan was good at close combat, and his strength and body were both superb, although not as good as Wu's. Yu is much stronger than other cultivators, and the spiritual weapon in his hand, the Supreme Qinkan sword, is on the same level as Beiming Emperor K. Wu Yu had already seen that Xuanhuan was holding a black giant sword in both hands. With a sweep of the giant sword, a large area of grassland was directly shattered and annihilated. It was full of destructive power. It was more brutal than the power of Emperor Beiming. Moreover, Xuanhuan, his divine channel skills are also very good, and his combat effectiveness is no worse than Ling Han. In other words, if Nanshan Wanjiao encounters him, it will definitely be difficult to defeat him, but Wu Yu estimates that with Nanshan Wanjiao's illusion skills, he will definitely not be defeated. And even has certain advantages. It is not a big problem to entangle this opponent. In fact, Nanshan Wanjiao has never worried Wu Yu. He may lack the means to kill, but when it comes to containing his opponent, even the 7th level of Wenwen realm cannot defeat him in a short time, at least in his realm. There is no trace, they are all elusive. Wu Yu, the most important thing you can't underestimate here is the Marriage Emperor's daughter. Even though she is weak, she is the strongest being in this team. Mainly because she has a weapon that my father personally gave to her, Tianling Dao weapon. And it's a very top-notch Tianling Dao weapon. I'm afraid that you alone can't handle this Tianling Dao weapon. If you want to use it as a breakthrough to defeat your opponent, and let others just contain the opponent, I suggest you add your own body and clones to deal with the Marriage Emperor's daughter. When Wu Yu was about to use his sky-swallowing body to deal with Zhang Wuzhu, he heard the words of Emperor Yu. It turned out that the daughter of the married emperor was the strongest, and she also had a heavenly spirit weapon. After knowing this situation, Yezixi said, "Brother Yu, don't worry, I can't deal with him, but I can find a way not to fight him head-on. I just want to contain him. You can also ask Silver Moon Mantis to come up and help. Letting Yezixi fight against someone alone is a bit risky." Wu Yu is also weighing the trade-offs. This is different from what he originally planned. But in fact, he does regard himself as a breakthrough. As long as he defeats the married emperor's daughter, the battle will actually be easy. It is equivalent to the end, but if the main body does not have this ability, it will make the battle anxious, which will be of no benefit to Nanshan and Yezixi. Brother Yu, I can do it. During this period of time in Yezixi, the desire to fight was very strong. Maybe she felt the pressure. Seeing her firm eyes at this moment and her indifferent attitude when facing the enemy, Wu Yu roll call was made. Silver Moon Praying Mantis was not needed at the Emperor's side for the time being. Wu Yu asked Silver Moon Praying Mantis to come this way while Yezixi kept away from him. "Mustache, I guess you can't take me down," Yezixi said seriously about Zhang Wuzhu, which made Wu Yu smile. He was quite cute. "Kill this one too." When the marriage emperor's daughter saw Yezixi, she was particularly angry. Firstly, she was a ghost cultivator, and secondly, Yezixi looked small to begin with. Compared with the marriage emperor's daughter, she was the real one. Petite and cute, the princess-in-law's heart was burning with jealousy, so Zhang Wuzhu could only give up dealing with Wu Yu and listen to the princess-in-law's advice and kill Yezixi first. What an awesome puppet! Silver Moon Mantis galloped to support Yezixi. Before Yezixi, it was as if he was holding two big knives. He was not afraid of death or pain at all. He was already fighting with Zhang Wuzhu like a madman. Zhang Wuzhu has many spiritual tools on his body, including the soul-piercing 11 needle, all things Emperor Brush, and Feng Chao Ancient Bell, all of which have more than 400,000 magical arrays. He held the Emperor's brush of all things in one hand and used his magical power to draw various giant beasts. The giant beasts turned into reality and besieged Ye-11. He also controlled the ancient bell of Feng Chao with one hand. When the bell shook, a strong wind blew up and the wind blew. Yezixi poses a huge threat, and he also has a soul-piercing 11 needle on his body, which he is always prepared to turn into an absolute killer move at any time. Wu Yu looked at the situation over there, and he knew that Yezixi could hold on for about a quarter of an hour at most, and it was still quite dangerous. Silver Moon Mantis was at the front now, but he would probably be crushed soon. So he had to make a quick decision. The only people in front of him were the marriage emperor's daughter and Zhang Wenyu. The person who praised Silver Moon Mantis just now was the prince consort Zhang Wenyu. Wu Yu only had his true body in front of them now, so they thought they could fight 2 against 1 without even having to take action from his daughter-in-law. Therefore, Zhang Wenyu said, "Pray. Although I don't have any means, it's easy to subdue you. My brother, on the other hand, there are plenty of ways to make you despair. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Oh, the prince consort is so powerful. I don't really believe it. If the prince consort had enough ability, the color of his hair would not be the same as the color of the grass in the mountains and fields. How has the prince consort lived these years? Very strong. When Wu Yu was talking, a small bug flew out from his clothes. It was a dreamy firefly. In the blink of an eye, it was extremely huge, lying between Wu Yu and Zhang Wenyu. Buzz. Dream firefly spit out a mouthful of green fluorescent light. The fluorescent light was like a bubble. It instantly enveloped Zhang Wenyu in it, and then flew away. Dream firefly bypassed the marriage emperor's daughter and chased after her. This was the firefly. A kind of use of space array. Although Zhang Wenyu came out of the fireflies quickly, he was already restrained by the dreamy fireflies in the distance. There was no way to deal with Wu Yu. It seems that Zhang Wenyu often suffered from such words, so Wu Yu did not make him crazy. However, after he took action, he did suppress dream fireflies. His Taoist magical powers were very amazing. He had two spiritual Taoist tools in his hand, namely Meishan Fan and Cloud Sword. The combination of fan and long sword has amazing lethality. These three people are indeed not simple. They are all suppressing Wu Yu's people in the three major battlefields. It seems that Nanshan Wanjiao and Yingying cannot defeat their opponents alone, let alone Yezixi. Now, all three battlefields were fighting, and only Wu Yu and the married emperor's daughter were left. The marriage emperor's daughter saw that the three men around her were all involved in the battle. There was no one around her, but Wu Yu kept smiling in front of her. This was indeed the biggest challenge to her. She was so angry that she took a deep breath at this time. Once, a cold voice said, "I didn't expect that you could force me to take action personally. I haven't done anything for a long time. I didn't expect that you would reach this level after receiving the benefits of Gudi's sermons. There are so many things that you didn't expect. There is no need to emphasize that you are not a smart person. If you see me unhappy, just do it. I will continue. It is said that you have a heavenly spirit Taoist weapon. Why not sacrifice it? Let me watch and learn." Wu Yu felt that if he said a few more words, she would be pissed off. Instead, the daughter-in-law smiled and said, "You are the boldest person I have ever seen in this world. You dare to provoke me like this, haha. That's because you have too little knowledge. Don't sit in a well and look at the sky. Come out and take a look." Wu Yu blocked her again with a simple word. The daughter-in-law almost exploded. Perhaps at this moment, she already knew that whatever she said now would only cause trouble for herself. The best way was to kill Wu Yu with strength. Only then could Wu Yu shut up. So, she simply shut his mouth. In fact, Wu Yu had a purpose in provoking her so much from the beginning. When the marriage emperor's daughter was furious, when Nanshan Wanjiao and the others intercepted other opponents for themselves, when he faced her alone, he sacrificed his heavenly spirit Taoist weapon. The heavenly spirit Dao weapon surpasses the 500,000 magic circle, and its power is greatly improved compared to that of the heavenly spirit Dao weapon. There is no superior spirit Dao weapon that can compare. Wu Yu was looking forward to it. Because Emperor Zi said, her heavenly spirit Taoist weapon has a 790,000 magic array, which is close to 800,000 magic arrays. It is not much different from 1,000,000 Holy Spirit Taoist tools. My father personally gave this to her in recognition of her contribution to Yanhuang in the past 400 years. It has only been about 30 years since she got it. It is usually her most precious treasure, rarely seen. Used, but every time I use it, it's amazing. This heavenly spirit Taoist weapon is called Emperor's Seal. Actually, it is said that this is a heavenly spiritual weapon forged by my father. It uses 10 spiritual patterns and a total of 30 kinds of materials. The most important ones are a dragon brocade glazed gold, thousand fire dark black iron, Xuanhuan, and so on. Its spirit is the ancient soul of two immortal beasts from ancient times. It was transferred from other ancient Taoist artifacts by my father and gathered in the Emperor's seal. They are related to each other, and they are also related to the divine dragons. One of them is called Penglong, which is said to be the son of some kind of top divine dragon and some kind of golden rock demon. The other is called Turtle Dragon, which is the son of another dragon. The son of a top-notch divine dragon and some kind of turtle monster. The imperial seal has 790,000 magic formations, which can be transformed into two forms. When the Penglong dominates, it is a golden sword. When the turtle dragon dominates, it becomes a black shield. When Wu Yu heard this, he had already seen the emperor's seal in the hand of the married emperor's daughter. It was a golden long sword. It didn't look dazzling, but the glaze-like gold color was extremely graceful. The hilt of the sword was a golden dragon, but it had a pair of huge golden wings. It's the Penglong. This is the dragon sword form. I wonder how powerful the dragon shield form is. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1084. When the daughter of Emperor Yin held this spiritual weapon, her temperament changed drastically. She became heroic, domineering, and full of murderous aura. She had the momentum of defeating the enemy without fighting, and even looked a bit like the ancient emperor. That's right, that was the terrible feeling of the ancient emperor. This was brought to her by the emperor's seal, which made her seem to have a transformation, and even made Wu Yu feel terrible that he was fighting with the ancient emperor at this time. Of course, this did not scare Wu Yu. He was just amazed at the terrible power of the emperor's seal, a spiritual weapon. Emperor Yu had already told Wu Yu how many attack and defense arrays this emperor's seal had. He now knew it in his mind, but before the battle, he was not absolutely sure to defeat the opponent and create life for Yezixi and the others. He could only fight to the end. He didn't have any fear in his heart, only a kind of eager enthusiasm and passion. In fact, what he didn't know was that in addition to him, the performance of Nanshan Wanjiao, Yezixi and Firefly had already caused an uproar outside. It is impossible to see their realm through the mirror, but when they fight, it is clearly displayed. Did these two people have the strength to compete with Zhang Wuzhu and Xiong Zhan before? Did Zhang Wuzhu let them win? I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamondsuit. It is impossible to let them win. These two people, a demon and a ghost cultivator, are both around Wu Yu. They have definitely become stronger. Their previous limit should be the second level of the realm of Taoism, at most the third level. Now they can actually restrain opponents at the sixth level of the realm of Taoism. This is a miracle. How did they do it in just 1 month? To be honest, even a calm figure like Huang Zun showed a look of amazement at this time. People like Emperor Minghai and others were also grinning from ear to ear. Even for them, such a breakthrough in a short period of time, and a breakthrough by multiple people at the same time, was not very possible. On the Fengguo Tianyun terrace, there was a quarrel for a while. It's not just these two people. The puppets around Wu Yu have become stronger, equivalent to the puppets of the sixth level of the realm of asking for the way. Wu Yu must have a puppet treasure. It is true that there is a legend, but no one dares to rob it. After all, there is the protection of the ancient emperor, but no one expected that there would be a puppet of the sixth level of the realm of asking for the way. So, how strong is Wu Yu now? Wu Yu's current state can be said to have shocked people of the level of Emperor Minghai. The news about him at this moment spread throughout the world of Yanfu in a short time. Hundreds of billions of creatures are talking about his achievements and discussing the reasons why he has become stronger at this moment. No wonder the ancient emperor wants to show us this battle so clearly. The eyes of the dead demon master are deep. Others also understand that this is definitely a burst point in the ancient soul tower. To be so outstanding and reach such a level within a month, I can only say that only the ancient emperor can do it in this world. Did the ancient emperor do something to them in the ancient soul tower? This seems a little unfair. Immediately afterwards, such remarks appeared, and the speaker was also a top figure, the domain master of Bailey Ayuz, who didn't know that his son had died in Wu Yu's hands. Everyone, please be patient. In my opinion, Emperor Li and his men should have found the ancient Emperor Dao Palace in the ancient Soul Tower, where the ancient emperor once preached. Only the ancient emperor's preaching can make them all make great progress in the debate. The regent King Dishishan suddenly said something, which made everyone quiet down. The ancient emperor preached? I thought it was just a legend, but it turned out to be true. This should be the case. If this is the case, then the son of Emperor Yu has also made great progress, but he has not yet been able to compete with the daughter of Emperor Yin. In this way, the son of Emperor Yu is indeed very lucky. Yes. In fact, outsiders always think too much, feeling that this was designed by the ancient emperor himself. It seems that the son of Emperor Yu has risen step by step in the ancient Soul Tower. If this can be designed by the ancient emperor himself, then the winner of the Yanhuang Gold Pearl can also be appointed? Doesn't that mean that the ancient emperor has played tricks on all the outsiders? This battle in the ancient Soul Tower is meaningless. But in fact, people dare not say it because it involves challenging the ancient emperor. People also communicated secretly with each other, and finally came to the conclusion that for the time being, they are powerless to change and can only wait and see. But if the ancient emperor really played tricks on them like this, then they really must unite and do something. Their focus was on the battle between Wu Yu and the daughter of Emperor Yin. At this time, Wu Yu used the law of heaven and earth to become extremely huge. The flames of the burning heaven pillar in his hand were burning, but when it encountered the emperor's seal, the burning heaven pillar seemed a little dejected. It was suppressed by the domineering power of the emperor's seal. The angry daughter of Emperor Yin had a stronger killing heart than Wu Yu. At this moment, she had already killed. Golden Pen covering the sky Emperor Dragon Sword. As soon as she made a move, it was one of the two killing moves of the Emperor Seal. She disdained to use any Taoist magic skills. Now she just wanted to kill people. The Emperor Seal has two major attack arrays and one major defense array. This golden pen covering the sky Emperor Dragon Sword is one of the attack and killing. The temperament of the marriage emperor woman changed drastically. Under the attention of everyone, she held the dragon sword form of the emperor's seal and pierced Wu Yu. At that moment, the sword energy burst out, forming a golden dragon. The divine dragon sword energy rushed out. He came out and suddenly unfolded a pair of huge golden wings. While the speed increased, the wings covered the sky and the sun, completely engulfing Wu Yu in the darkness for a while. The violent sword energy and killing suddenly descended on Wu Yu's body. Chest. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. As expected, it was a magic circle designed by the ancient emperor. It focused on killing and was not fancy at all. The golden rock covers the sky, and the dragon sword kills violently. Wu Yu didn't let the sky-swallowing body come out for the time being, just to deal with this situation. He had to see how capable the opponent was. At this time, he finally experienced it. The other party's killing was simply beyond the 6th level of asking questions. This was definitely because of the emperor's seal and not her. For a moment, Wu Yu felt that even the Zhigong immovable formation was troublesome, and there was no way to break the opponent's attack. Therefore, according to his original plan of retreat, he could only use somersault clouds. This is how he designed it. If you can't fight the opponent on the front battlefield, you must be smart. The second stage of the somersault cloud was already prepared. At this moment, he turned back and wanted to escape from this place. But Wu Yu also knew deeply about this adventure, because the speed of the opponent's killing move was quite terrifying. In fact, the murderous intention was already hanging over his head at this time. His dodge was still a little slow. He had been able to dodge attacks in the past, but this time he was extremely dangerous. He had dodged the main vital points and was about to escape into the void, but he still had a domineering sword energy to kill him. Come, actually tear Wu Yu's arm to pieces. The pain of a broken arm really makes people grin. Wu Yu appeared on the other side in severe pain. He didn't leave far, but the concubine quickly locked onto him, and the murderous intention came towards him again. This move can only break one of your arms, that's awesome, the marriage emperor's daughter sneered. Of course, what she saw was that Wu Yu's broken arm quickly grew back. For his immortal body, breaking an arm would not consume much life, and his indestructible body was only a small loss. On the other hand, people outside looked at it and all praised the power of the imperial seal. Judging from this first confrontation, the marriage emperor's daughter was much sharper than Wu Yu. Of course, Wu Yu was also surprising enough. After all, who would have thought that he could actually survive the attack of the 6th level heavenly spiritual weapon? It looks like he's afraid he's going to die inside outside, the God-refining demonic dragon said lightly. If you don't shut up, no one will think you are dumb. Luo Bin was a little cold. This sentence made the God-refining demonic dragon grit his teeth and there was some hatred in his eyes. He didn't understand. It's just a small human race, why let her be like this? He still doesn't understand, so he simply opened his eyes wide and looked at Wu Yu, thinking in his mind, just look at how he died. Maybe if I die, I will give up. Unexpectedly, Wu Yu immediately counterattacked before his arm came out. At that moment, his sky-swallowing body appeared, with a decapitating ghost sword and a blood-stopping sword in his hands, both of which were top-notch spiritual tools. Bite. When the sky-swallowing body wielded the beheading ghost sword with one hand and slashed at his own head, and the blood-stopping sword with the other hand, when he killed the married emperor's daughter, many people still didn't understand, except for the people of the demon city, because they all know that those are the spiritual tools of 2 of the 7 young masters of Demon City. Why is this thing in his hands? The people of Motion Dynasty were angry. Of course they were thinking of something. The least case scenario is that Wu Yu snatched away the spiritual weapon. The worst case scenario is of course that Wu Yu was killed. However, even though the White Demon Lord and the Black Demon Lord are both here in the background of the 7 young masters of the Demon City, they can't make any waves. Now everyone is excited about it, and it's useless for them to stand up and yell at them, so these 2 Demon Lords, the anger was quickly suppressed by their own people. The key is that Wu Yu's beheading ghost sword and blood-stopping sword exploded at the same time, both of which had a certain effect. The beheading ghost sword was definitely not completely successful, but it left a blood mark on the neck of the married emperor's daughter, and the bones were visible. Of course, because the body of swallowing the sky was not completely successful, it was also damaged. The blood-stopping sword was more effective. The agitation and riot of blood all over her body greatly affected the marriage emperor's daughter's next killing move. Coupled with the injury on her neck, she could only shrink back at this moment, and Wu Yu's, when he knew that the opportunity had come, his huge arms had grown out. This was when he was at his most tyrannical, and his movements were very fast. This time he used all the violent techniques. Because there are not many opportunities for the same. The violent technique, the magic of the sky and the earth, then triggered the 9 tribulations to burn the sky and shatter the prison, and the most brutal stick came from the sky. This was something that only appeared in physical battles. Wu Yu was like a rough beast, fast and ferocious. Let the married emperor's daughter fall into passivity this time, and everyone will see Wu Yu's power. However, the marriage emperor's daughter is still capable. It should be said that the emperor's seal is very powerful. She instantly switched from offense to defense. Wu Yu could see clearly at this moment. The golden sword in her hand changed in an instant. It turned into golden powder, then instantly turned into black iron powder, and then quickly combined into a huge black iron shield. The iron shield was extremely majestic, with sharp edges and a terrifyingly heavy feeling. In the center of the dragon's shield, there was a relief of a divine turtle. However, a closer look revealed that it was not just a turtle. Deep inside its shell were the dragon head, dragon tail, dragon arms, and dragon claws. Divine Turtle Shocking Prison Emperor Dragon Shield. At the moment when Wu Yu's burning heaven pillar fell, the Emperor's seal dragon shield instantly became extremely huge. A black dragon turtle appeared in front of the Yin Emperor's daughter, blocking her in front of her. The shield behind her was extremely stable. Wu Yu's stick and violent technique bombarded her body. The more powerful Wu Yu was, the more shock the shield brought. For a moment, the world was roaring. The strong vibration almost gave Wu Yu's power back to himself. The power of the Emperor's seal not only failed to defeat Wu Yu's opponent, but also caused him to suffer trauma. One layer of the physical world was almost destroyed. I told you, you are looking for death. You dare to look down on me. The daughter of the Emperor Yin still sneered, but now she felt much better, and said, "Next, I will send you to the west. You are lucky. You can see the 3 magic arrays of the Emperor's seal." She raised the sword high, and the world seemed to be still for a moment. It was definitely more terrifying than the golden pen covering the sky Emperor Dragon sword. Watching the Emperor's seal transform into a sword again, Wu Yu's eyes were extremely hot, because he knew that such a Taoist weapon was what he lacked and what he wanted most now, so he made a vow here that he would get it no matter what. He took a look and found that Yezixi and Firefly could not hold on for long. If he lost the battle, they would be completely finished. Unwilling, unconvinced. The only way was to continue the fight to the death. This chapter is close to 4,000 words. Normally, 3,000 words per update. 3 updates are completed. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1085. The daughter-in-law must kill herself before she can give up. When she successfully restrained Wu Yu's attack with the Turtle Shocking Prison Emperor Dragon Shield, it was obvious that with the urgency in her heart to kill Wu Yu, look at her holding the spiritual weapon high at the moment. Emperor's Seal. Wu Yu knew that she was going to use the Emperor's Seal's attack and killing array to gather the power of 790,000 arrays to unleash the most powerful killing move. The purpose, of course, is to send Wu Yu to the west in an instant. From her eyes, Wu Yu saw indifference and ruthlessness, which was not beyond Wu Yu's expectation. This so-called 9th Emperor's daughter was still as moody, unruly, and willful as she was when she was young, and she would retaliate. None of this mattered. There was no fear of death in Wu Yu's eyes, only the desire for that day's spiritual weapon. There is no affection at all, and Wu Yu rarely takes the initiative to provoke others, but when faced with danger, he is never polite, and does not care whether he is right or wrong. This is his way. "Kill," the marriage emperor's daughter screamed, her aura soaring to the sky. She held the sword in both hands, and the golden long sword pointed at the sky, and the golden glass-like sword body burst out with dazzling light. Tiangong Emperor's seal to kill the immortal sword. The last sword finally broke out. This Tiangong Emperor's seal to kill immortal sword formation was the origin of the name of the weapon called Emperor's Seal. In fact, at this time, not only was the Penglong in charge, but the power of the turtle dragon was also integrated into the formation. So gold and black are actually integrated into one, but the black is included in the gold, faintly. At this time, the phantoms of the rock dragon and the turtle dragon suddenly rise to the sky, gathering in the clouds and mist in the sky, and in that moment suddenly, thick black and golden clouds appeared in the sky. In this cloud and mist, when the 790,000 magic circle was in operation, suddenly countless heavenly palaces appeared, standing majestically in the clouds, and there seemed to be gods all over the sky, sitting on the clouds and mist, overlooking the common people, Time filled the sky as the Immortals muttered words. In the clouds and mists, the golden and black sword energy quickly gathered, eventually swallowing up all the clouds, mists, immortal palaces and immortals. In an extreme moment, they combined into a giant sword. The giant sword has no hilt. It has a black core with a turtle and dragon relief on it, and gold as the sharp edges around it, forming a supergiant sword with black in the middle and golden edges around it. The relief is as big as a giant sword. There are 2 rock dragons and turtle dragons, which are as lifelike as if they are entwined around them. In addition, there are many reliefs of the heavenly palace, which are as real as ever. When the Tiangong Emperor's seal and immortal killing sword falls from the sky, it is simply like it seemed like the entire heaven was moving towards Wu Yu to suppress him. This is known as the immortal killing array. When the array was activated, it was actually such a huge formation, but its killing power was completely unquestionable. Wu Yu had slightly underestimated his opponent before, so what he was experiencing at this moment was an unprecedented and terrifying killing intent. However, with such a terrifying killing sword falling from the sky as its target, Wu Yu could only see maddening enthusiasm in his eyes. Such power simply fascinates him now. Maybe at this time, he has forgotten his own life and death. Envy my imperial seal? How pitiful. There are indeed many people who want to get the imperial seal, but these people are already dead souls under his sword. The marriage emperor's daughter finally saw it, Wu Yu's fanatical eyes, completely wanting to occupy the imperial seal. She didn't find it surprising, she just found it ridiculous, because there were too many people like Wu Yu, but they basically ended up miserable. So she felt that Wu Yu was a pitiful man, but even if he was a pitiful man, if she had the intention to kill him, she would definitely kill him. If others think that the emperor is a myth that is about to rise, killing Wu Yu is equivalent to destroying 9/10 of this myth. Without Wu Yu, the emperor is still nothing. With such a mood, the marriage emperor's daughter finally transcended physically and mentally. She was extremely happy. At that time, the palace emperor's immortal killing sword was in the sky that day, like a falling meteor, or like a killing blow thrown by the gods in the sky. The sword, despite its huge size, quickly fell on top of Wu Yu's head, bringing Wu Yu a death crisis. Anyone who looks at it seems to be in danger. The power of this imperial seal makes the daughter-in-law seem to have exceeded her own realm. At the last moment, Wu Yu only saw the burning heaven pillar in his hand transform into 9 giant cauldrons, and then turned into the 9 palaces immovable formation. He huddled in the 9 palaces immovable formation, trying to block such a killing move, and then there was no other action. From this point of view, the marriage emperor's daughter would only think that he was too naive. She actually noticed that Wu Yu's sky-devouring body with white hair and bloody eyes was behind him, and the beaming Emperor K in his hand was also very threatening. However, she naturally believed that the clone was the clone. As long as Wu Yu's body was killed quickly and violently, the main body and the clone will also die as a result. Maybe Wu Yu didn't know that the onlookers outside, even people like the Fanhua fairy in the Fanhua Wonderland, would think that he was bound to die. Even the entire Jambu world was using communication talismans, waiting to spread Wu Yu's message. News of death in battle. And just as they imagined, that day the Emperor's seal of the immortal killing sword and the Zhigong immovable formation collided fiercely. At the same time, Wu Yu's sky-devouring body displayed the beaming Emperor's 10,000 dragons chaos sky-eating formation, targeting the target. As for the daughter-in-law must fully control the heavenly palace Emperor's seal to kill the immortal sword to kill Wu Yu, so she just deals with Wu Yu's clone casually. After all, she still believes that the clone is dependent on the main body, which is very important to all cultivators in the world. Both are true, but the sky-swallowing body is not. Theoretically speaking, in fact, these two are Wu Yu's identities, and they are both considered to be the main body, and there is no obvious distinction between primary and secondary. However, Basically no one paid attention to the body of swallowing the sky. Now everyone looked at the body. They saw the huge, emperor's seal of the Tiangong Emperor's immortal killing sword, and the sharpest sword tip was stuck in the Zhigong Fang. On the formation, the Nine Palaces immovable formation seemed a bit small. Even if Wu Yu used great strength to hold it up, the Nine Palaces immovable formation was still in pieces. The key was that Fen Tianzi couldn't hold on anymore. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Boom. Wu Yu paid the price. He saw a scene that he didn't want to see, that is, the Nine Palaces immovable formation was broken. This was not just a simple formation being torn apart, but the entire Nine Tribulations furnace burning heaven pillar was completely shattered. The spiritual weapon was completely destroyed by the stronger spiritual weapon. From then on, there was no such spiritual weapon as Fen Tianzi in the world. The power of the Palace Emperor's immortal killing sword that day was not reduced too much. It still had vast power and killing power. This time it was completely suppressed on Wu Yu's head. To be honest, the violent technique consumed Wu Yu. With a lot of power, this magic circle is stronger and faster than the previous Jinpeng Jishan Emperor Dragon Sword. Wu Yu didn't use somersault clouds to escape at first, but now he can't escape even more. He could indeed escape, but he did not choose to do so. This was his breakthrough and the place where he needed courage the most. The indestructible body of Vajra, the indestructible body of the Six Realms Heavenly King and Buddha, from its formation to the present, Wu Yu has never reached its limit. He wanted to know, will he die? In a way, he was now very far away from death. Of course he has an extremely strong belief, because he managed to get to this level with great difficulty, and because he has the pride brought to him by the Monkey King. This is something deep in his bones, an undefeated will. For a moment, what people saw was that the golden immortal ape was swallowed up by the Tiangong Emperor's immortal killing sword. People all regretted that Wu Yu, who was so talented and beautiful, was about to die in a battle like this. The Marriage Emperor's daughter was indeed very angry because she even completely ignored Wu Yu's attacks and was very tough. Even if she relied on losing both sides, she still had to kill Wu Yu first. She had this confidence. When she focused her whole body on this magic circle, she believed that even the seventh level of the Dao realm might not be able to stop him. What's more, Wu Yu's Taoist weapon Burning Heaven Pillar was completely destroyed at this time. The fragments of the former Taoist weapon were still flying between heaven and earth, which made Wu Yu feel very regretful. It also made him grit his teeth before death. His peerless pride and self-esteem kept him from falling at all. Although his indestructible body of the Six Realms Heavenly King Buddha fell down under a heavy weight, even in the sword energy, it was too late to repair it, but in his eyes, there were only blazing flames, only eternity. Endless faith. Dai, the daughter-in-law had already known when Wu Yu would be completely shattered. In fact, it took longer than she expected. She actually felt that Wu Yu should be dead within 10 breaths, but she didn't expect it. He still held on, still not dead. Seeing Wu Yu's body constantly dying and reborn, but not completely annihilated, the smile on her face gradually hardened. Are you a turtle? Why aren't you dead? The Marriage Emperor's daughter began to panic. This was far beyond her estimate of time, and she was still not dead. Although she was still confident of continuing to kill Wu Yu, the time was already too long. After all, people outside could not see clearly at this time and thought that Wu Yu had already returned to the west. You can go back to the Dragon Palace. It's over, the god-refining demonic dragon said again behind Luo Bin. Luo Bin ignored him, but stared closely at the mirror. The sword energy was raging in it, and she could not see anything clearly. However, she did not frown, because she knew Wu Yu, and she knew that Wu Yu knew very well whether he can hold up. When the daughter-in-law asked him why he was not dead yet, his laughter suddenly came from the sword energy, and he said, "You are an old immortal, you are not dead yet, You are still pretending to be young, how could such a young person die before you? His tone was very calm and cold, but just like that, it brought unprecedented fear and terror to the daughter-in-law. She originally spent all her energy on killing Wu Yu quickly, but now Wu Yu is not dead yet. And when she turned back, a burst of dark cold air engulfed him. In the chaos, the black dragon wrapped around her, and everything within a kilometer radius of her froze into black ice. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1086. In battle, Wu Yu rarely used his indestructible body to fight to the death. Because once he uses this point, it basically means that he has no way out and can only bet that the other party can't kill him. But this time, when the opponent showed enough strength with the Tianling Taoist weapon, Wu Yu could only use this method to survive. Although he risked his life this time, Wu Yu succeeded. As I write this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. When his sixth realm Heavenly King Buddha's indestructible body was destroyed to the 4th level and was on the verge of final complete collapse and death, the 10,000 Dragons Chaos Sky-devouring formation of the Sky-devouring body finally broke through the protection of the married emperor's daughter, and before she killed Wu Yu's body, she froze her completely defenseless. The power of the heaven-swallowing body is no less than the purple mansion Yuanli of the marriage emperor's daughter. Although the Beiming Emperor's palace is inferior to the Emperor's seal, it is still a top-level spiritual Taoist weapon after all, and it also has the devouring bonus of the sky-swallowing giant beast. The power is also quite terrifying. In this situation where the opponent's attention is entirely focused on killing Wu Yu, the 10,000 Dragons Chaos Sky-devouring formation really comes into play and instantly freezes a 1-mile large super black ice ball. In the center, the temperature dropped to the extreme. Although it would not kill the marriage emperor's daughter, it would be no problem to severely injure the opponent. After all, this kind of freezing is too cold and too scary. At this time, the emperor-in-law's daughter kept using the imperial seal to kill Wu Yu, like a corpse. Within the ice ball, everything was under the control of the sky-swallowing body. At the moment when the emperor's face changed drastically and she was frozen in panic, a black divine dragon forcibly took the emperor's seal from her hand. Her hands were already stiff, and the performance of the emperor's seal magic formation was instantly cut off because her body was frozen. When Wu Yu froze her, the body that swallowed the sky had actually directly brought the spiritual Dao artifact Emperor's Seal with her. Entered the floating tower. The heavenly spirit Dao weapon must be able to break free on this day, but after entering the fusion tower, Wu Yu was certain that it would not be able to get out due to the mystery of the fusion tower. If the Sumuru bag is placed, even a Sumuru bag with the level of spiritual Taoist weapon, it is estimated that under the control of the marriage emperor's daughter, it can be torn and rushed out. After all, the current owner of the emperor's seal is still the daughter of the emperor-in-law. The 10,000 Dragons Chaos Heaven-devouring formation gave the married emperor a freezing wound. Even if the ice was broken, she would have to recover for at least a period of time. But in fact, Wu Yu's trauma was really serious. If it had been anyone else, she would have died a long time ago. This time, if his indestructible body of the 6 realms Heavenly King Buddha was not equivalent to having 6 lives, he would not be able to survive at all. This is not that the daughter-in-law of the 6th level of Dao realm is powerful, it is the Emperor's Seal that is powerful. When the Emperor's Seal fell into Wu Yu's hands, no matter how badly injured he was, the Emperor's daughter-in-law was doomed anyway. At this time, Wu Yu seemed to be reborn from the ashes. He was dripping with blood, and there was no intact place. But he just broke through the sword energy and appeared in front of the frozen daughter-in-law. At this time, one side was full of momentum, and the other was frozen like a corpse, and Wu Yu pushed hard, and the huge ice block rushed towards the sky. Once it reaches a certain height, it will attract the green birds and gods of all things, and the ice will be exploded, but at the same time, the married emperor's daughter will also die. In fact, Xuanhuan, Zhongwenyu, and Zhongwas could all see the sudden changes here clearly. Nanshan Wanjiao was still able to tease Xuanhuan, but Dream Firefly was almost destroyed. Silver Moon Praying Mantis was directly shattered and required a long time to repair the floating life tower. Yezixi's side also consumed a lot of money and was in danger. If she hadn't fought, it's a guerrilla tactic. If you only pester the opponent and don't confront the opponent head-on, she would have died a long time ago. Wu Yu took control of the battle before the worst happened. Not only did he defeat the emperor-in-law's daughter and take away the terrible imperial seal, but he also put the emperor-in-law's daughter in danger at this time. Xuanhuan and the three of them saw it very clearly. Clearly, when the ice cubes lifted into the sky, there were many green divine birds all around, forming clouds and roaring towards them. If they were slow, the marriage emperor's daughter would die. To them, this was a big deal, which caused the three of them to go crazy for a moment. They gave up their opponents and chased after the marriage emperor's daughter while roaring. This was the time to leave. Wu Yu was severely injured and had no time to fight them to the death. He, Nanshan Wanjiao and Yezixi quickly gathered together, and then took the stunned Emperor Kairu and the others with him, and ran away as fast as possible without saying a word. The Emperor and the others were extremely nervous. In the end, they all covered their faces and gave up, thinking that Wu Yu was doomed. However, they survived this desperate situation and were now so happy that they were speechless. This grassland is not flat. Low mountains form in many places, which can block the view. If they can take off in this place, it will be difficult for Wu Yu and the others to escape. However, the green birds here happen to prevent people from taking off. When Wu Yu left for a long time, he went to looking back. I saw that under the crazy persecution of those green birds, Xuanhuan and the others could only bring the ice that imprisoned the emperor-in-law's daughter to the ground. Once it fell to the ground, they completely lost track of Wu Yu and the others. "Can you escape?" Emperor Zi asked nervously. "Don't worry, it will take a long time for them to break the ice. After all, if they break it roughly, it will cause the marriage emperor's daughter to be torn apart. Then it will not be me but them who kill her," Wu Yu responded to him. Hearing this, Emperor Yu let out a long sigh of relief. Seeing Wu Yu's state, he asked nervously, "Are you injured?" Wu Yu could hear his concern. He nodded and said, "It's a small matter. I can recover after a while of rest. Now I need to find a safe place and hide for a while. Once I recover, I'll be fine." In fact, he wants to recuperate, and the more important reason is that he wants to control the Emperor's seal. This chapter is not over. Please click on the next page to continue reading. Wu Yu had no intention of wasting such a good treasure after finally risking his life to get it. To be honest, the heavenly spirit artifact was Wu Yu's real purpose in provoking his opponent. After Zifu's UN power had been greatly improved during this period, he clearly felt that it was difficult for Fen Tianzu to exert his power. He must have a stronger Taoist weapon. At this time, the emperor's daughter-in-law appeared with the emperor's seal. The other party forced her first, so Wu Yu was not polite. "Wu Yu, did you steal the imperial seal from the daughter-in-law?" That was a reward given to her by the ancient emperor himself. Bailey Xuanhuan was a little confused. He didn't expect Wu Yu to be so bold. The emperor smiled and said, "Don't worry about it. She brought it to her door by herself. Her father gave it to her, but she couldn't keep it. That's because she has no ability." Of course Emperor Yu would not object. He knew very well that taking away the emperor's seal would reduce the power of Emperor Marriage and his group by at least a quarter, or even more, which would be equivalent to Wu Yu helping him wipe out an opponent. They continued to advance on the grassland, and after half a day they were completely far away from the battlefield. Everywhere on this grassland was the same, so it could be said that there was no safe place at all. However, the Yingxian of Nanshan Wanjiao still existed, so everyone boarded the Yingxian. Immortal Hao and Nanshan Wanjiao continued to strengthen the illusion circle outside, and Wu Yu recovered within it. Of course, more importantly, he conquered the Emperor's seal. In fact, what they didn't know was how much of an uproar this battle caused outside, and even in the entire Jambu world. In fact, it was only within a short period of time that Wu Yu held onto the Emperor's seal of the Heavenly Palace, snatched the Emperor's seal, and finally escaped from it, but to others, it was as if he had risen directly from hell to the Heavenly Palace. Incredible! At least on the Fengguo Tianyuntai, the faces of many of the leaders of the monastic empire suddenly changed. This is Wu Yu's battle to become a god. The heavenly spirit Dao artifact fell into his hands. This time, Emperor Yu is really qualified to participate in the competition. This Wu Yu is like a miracle. It's really hard to think about, but he has to be admired. Some people speculated that the ancient emperor was planning all this, but no one dared to say more, and no one was sure. If Wu Yu was targeting foreigners this time, people might think it was more of a conspiracy. But the opponent is also the daughter of the ancient emperor. Wu Yu defeated the emperor's daughter who had practiced Taoism for 400 years and took away her heavenly Taoist tool Emperor's seal. The news spread throughout the world of Jamfu in a short time. His fame reverberated across the world again, and billions of creatures were talking about his magnificent actions, and this time, it was the ancient emperor who allowed people to see the entire battle. If it weren't for the control of the ancient emperor, Wu Yu would be really amazing. This kind of rise is really unprecedented. With such an imperial envoy as Emperor Yu, the future is really promising. With Wu Yu's current situation in terms of strength, they are actually not far behind the strongest group of people in the ancient Soul Tower. There's no need to be too mythical. There are quite a few strong people inside. Once he reaches a higher level in the Soul Tower and meets a stronger existence, that won't be the case. All in all, with his presence, it will definitely be more exciting. This time, it is almost like stepping on the Emperor's daughter to ascend to the throne. Tell me, should the Emperor's seal be given to Wu Yu or to Emperor Yu's son? After all, this is the ancient Emperor's heavenly spirit weapon. If Wu Yu gets it, he should give it to Emperor Yu's son. This is the rule. After all, these two people, the difference is too big. Wu Yu is a bit more of a guest. I guess it's Wu Yu. After all, Emperor Yu can't control it. Wu Yu snatched it by himself. But, I guess there is a gap between the two of them. Even from the beginning, I felt that Wu Yu seemed to be more powerful than Yu. The Emperor is much more outstanding, and all the achievements of the Emperor are due to Wu Yu. This is interesting, let's wait and see. If Emperor Yu becomes the new Emperor Yanhuang, what will happen to Wu Yu's situation? Haha. In fact, there are related discussions everywhere, and it is even more turbulent within the Yanhuang tribe. After all, this is a battle within the Yanhuang tribe. Of course, next to Huangzun, the demon master 8 gods Kun Wu also said in Huangzun's ears, they have undergone such a huge transformation, maybe they may have gained something in the heavenly demon emperor's mansion. Heaven Swallowing Record Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1087. In the 4th level of the Soul Tower, as long as you don't fly into the sky randomly, you won't seem to be attacked by the gods of all things. Then, the only threat here is the other strong men who have entered the ancient Soul Tower. In the 4th level of the Soul Tower, there are more people who are in the 4th level of the Dao realm. There are some 5th levels, and there are actually relatively few in the 6th level. The Marriage Emperor's daughter and the others are considered to be the top experts at this level. It was indeed bad luck for them to meet Wu Yu and the others last time. There are cultivators here from all the major monastic empires, including ghost cultivators, demons, and sea monsters. However, with their overall strength, it is still difficult to see through Nanshan Wanjiao's illusion. Even if they can detect it, they will not be able to pass the level of Nanshan Wanjiao, so I didn't expect it. It's quite safe in the 4th level of the Soul Tower. It is precisely because of this that Wu Yu can devote himself to 2 aspects. His body needs a large amount of Dao Shendan and some healing elixirs to speed up the reconstruction of the physical world. Although this is more troublesome, it is not difficult. After all, the indestructible body itself has strong recovery capabilities. In order to save time, his body was repaired in the floating life tower, which had 5 times the time. In order to save time, Wu Yu decided to use the body of devouring heaven to directly try to conquer the heavenly spiritual weapon Emperor's Seal. If the sacrifice can be successful, such a heavenly spirit Taoist weapon can be used whether it is the body or the body of swallowing the sky. In fact, Wu Yu's body is still accustomed to using stick-type Taoist tools, but he has also dabbled in long swords. The sky-swallowing body has always been using a sword. Now the sky-swallowing body is no longer biased toward coldness. Because it has devoured many types of creatures, it is relatively pure now. It is not as sinister as before. It is basically a Taoist weapon. All can be used. Tianling Taoist tools are hard to come by. For the time being, Wu Yu has decided to leave them to the main body for use first. After all, he is still more accustomed to the fighting style of the main body. At present, he basically uses the sky-swallowing body to assist in combat. More. In the Tower of Floating Life, his sky-devouring body spent a lot of time pondering and refining the Emperor's Seal. To be honest, Wu Yu rarely desires a new Taoist weapon as much as he does now. However, he still felt it was a pity that Fen Tianzu had been with him for a while, but he didn't expect that he would be directly crushed this time. If it weren't for Fen Tianzu, he would have been hit in the front by the Emperor's Seal of the immortal killing sword of that day. Wu Yu was sure it's lifeless. Both his body and the sky-swallowing body entered the fusion tower. The main body was focused and restored, while the sky-swallowing body held down the somewhat restless Emperor Seal in the fusion tower and completely controlled it. This Tianling Taoist weapon was losing its. It is no longer easy to fight against Wu Yu with the support of the Master's Zi Mansion Yuan power. The key is that the body of the heaven-swallowing body itself is in the state of Yuan Shen, so it can be directly inserted into the world inside the magic circle. There are 7 in the world of 190,000 magic circles. Those 2 weapon spirits were found. One is a dragon with huge wings that soars in the golden clouds, and the other is in the dark deep sea, a turtle that looks like a turtle but has a dragon head, arms, and tail. These 2 giants, the beasts, did not interfere with each other in their respective worlds, but when Wu Yu's sky-devouring body turned into a black whirlpool and came in, it aroused their common hatred. They know that this is the existence that defeats their master and takes them away. Here, to conquer them, it is definitely a duel between the power of the soul and willpower. Roar! The 2 giant beasts were roaring at Wu Yu. Among them, the Penlong soared in the clouds and mist, making a sharper sound, while the turtle dragon was swimming in the deep sea, making a dull and thick sound. The roar directly shocked the sea. Howling. Wu Yu is not in a hurry. He has a lot of time, and there has been a law since ancient times. Wu Yu gets it by defeating their master. In this case, they will feel pressure when facing Wu Yu, and will not look down on him. At least it proves that Wu Yu is stronger than their original master. Of course, the weapon spirits do not necessarily surrender if their master is stronger. After all, they also have certain feelings for their original master. Their impression of Wu Yu is probably because Wu Yu is an unbeatable being. I am different from the marriage emperor's daughter. Maybe I will not use you for too long, maybe only a few years, or even less. However, in a short period of time, you will have more interesting experience. Maybe the weapon spirit doesn't particularly understand, but Wu Yu's will explain it to them. Next, Wu Yu didn't say much and just used his sky-swallowing body to confront them head-on. This was a battle of spiritual realms. Wu Yu's advantage was that his sky-swallowing body could be his body or his soul. He can do a lot of moves, not just mental impact. Even the married emperor's daughter can subdue them. Wu Yu has a psychological advantage. Even if the other party is resisting, Wu Yu is determined to suppress them. Maybe you can't do it in 1 day, then 2 days or 3 days. The willpower of these two giant beasts is quite strong. After all, they are Tianling Dao tools, which are more powerful than all the weapon spirits Wu Yu has encountered before. They attacked again and again, suppressed them again and again, and were forced back by their joint forces again and again, and then continued to attack. Wu Yu knew that maybe he didn't have the willpower to crush these two giant beasts yet, but his advantage was that he couldn't be beaten to death and wouldn't stop. He might not be able to defeat them in a short time, but he had to rely on this tenacious will. In the continuous attack and suppression, the opponent was completely defeated. The two beasts were already psychologically afraid of Wu Yu, and they were even more miserable. Wu Yu's continuous attack was enough even if he only had the body of the Heaven Devourer. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. About 5 days later, the two beasts finally surrendered. Although they may still be a little unwilling, Wu Yu still succeeded in the ritual and became their new master. It doesn't matter if they are unwilling and have complaints now, but in the future, they will definitely change their views on Wu Yu, because Wu Yu is the spirit of all Taoist tools and the master he is most willing to follow. His future will definitely be infinitely brilliant. However, the success of the ritual is just the beginning. The key is that Wu Yu must thoroughly understand the magic array in the Emperor's seal, not just the attack magic array. The attack magic array and the defense magic array are only the outermost part, and the core part is the most important. It is necessary to have a sufficient understanding of the internal core magic array to better master the outermost attack and defense magic array. The three arrays of the Emperor's seal. The attacking magic array led by Peng Long, the golden pen covering the Sky Emperor Dragon Sword. The defensive magic array led by Gilong, the divine turtle shocking prison Emperor Dragon Shield. And the most terrifying Heavenly Palace Emperor Seal Immortal Sword, which is mainly based on Peng Long and supplemented by Gilong, is the foundation of this Tianling Dao weapon. Wu Yu spent a lot of time thinking about these magic arrays. For the outside world, only 1 day has passed. Next, Wu Yu spent 50 days to finally have some overall understanding of these magic arrays, and then spent another 10 days to barely be able to perform them. It can be said that the lethality he exerted was similar to that of the Yin Emperor's daughter, but in fact, it was mainly because he was not skilled. After he became skilled, his room for improvement would be much greater than that of the Yin Emperor's daughter. But even so, Wu Yu's combat effectiveness increased again. He finally had a sharper weapon, and before it was like having great strength but no sharp blade in his hand. In fact, only more than 10 days had passed in the outside world. Le Daizi and the others waited very patiently, because they knew that whether Le Daizi could get the flame gold pearl depended on Wu Yu. After so many days, his body had long been restored to a perfect state, and now his combat power was at its peak, stronger than before. When he came out of the Fusheng Tower, Le Daizi and the others were excited and wanted to see the power of the Emperor's seal. When you meet an opponent who has to take action, you will see it, but now, let's go to the 5th level of the Soul Tower. These days, they were isolated from the world and didn't know whether there was any news about the Flame Gold Pearl, but they were still in the ancient Soul Tower, so there shouldn't be any, and they still had a chance to compete. Yes, hurry up and go to the 5th level, there are more opportunities there, Chu Fenjiao said. Nanshan Wanjiao removed the hidden immortal and the magic circle he set up. Now everyone surrounded Wu Yu, and there was still some expectation, waiting for Wu Yu's performance. In fact, the changes of the turtle dragon are not as simple as the divine turtle shocking prison Emperor Dragon Shield as a defensive array. A Taoist weapon has many changes. For example, there are some functional arrays in the Emperor Seal, one of which is the Turtle Shield Dragon Boat Array. Wu Yu activated the Turtle Shield Dragon Boat Array, and the Emperor Seal changed into a turtle shell-shaped warship in front of Wu Yu. Everyone entered it. The Turtle Shield Dragon Boat was completely closed and airtight. Its defense power was not much worse than that of the Divine Turtle Shocking Prison Emperor Dragon's Shield, but it did not have that terrible recoil force. The Turtle Shield Dragon Boat instantly took off. Under Wu Yu's control, the speed was quite fast. Wu Yu was confident that he could rush into the Golden Vortex before those green birds arrived. The lightning of the Golden Vortex was quite dense, but it was not easy to be afraid of the Turtle Shield Dragon Boat. In terms of Taoist weapons, this Emperor Seal is not much worse than the ancient soul-suppressing cauldron of Emperor Yu. At the beginning, the ancient soul-suppressing cauldron also took Wu Yu and others up easily. But unexpectedly, there was a little surprise. When they were in the air, they stood out in the boundless world. Then, Wu Yu saw someone in the distance had discovered them and was chasing them. "Beast, return my imperial seal." It turned out to be the daughter of Emperor Yin. I didn't expect her to recover so well. However, Wu Yu was not afraid of them at all now. He flew into the sky and rushed towards the Golden Vortex without stopping. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 1088. Without the Emperor's Seal, the strength of the married Emperor's daughter will drop by at least 20%, but Wu Yu has made a huge improvement. One is declining, the other is increasing. Therefore, in Wu Yu's eyes, the married Emperor's daughter is no longer a threat that he is afraid of. He knew that the daughter-in-law must have been looking for him like crazy during this period. She even dreamed of killing Wu Yu. Unfortunately, Wu Yu and the others hid well and were looking for others in the ancient Soul Tower. It's difficult in itself. In particular, it can only be searched on the ground, not in the air. Now, Wu Yu had taken control of the Turtle Shield Dragon Boat transformed by the Emperor's Seal. He ignored the 4 people chasing below and rushed into the Golden Vortex above. Suddenly, dense lightning struck madly. The Emperor's daughter-in-law, Xuanhuan, Zhang Wenyu, and Zhang Was, who all had looks of murder on their faces. They think that they are no weaker than Wu Yu and others. However, it was extremely frustrating to be teased and take away the heavenly spirit Taoist artifact Emperor's Seal. Indeed, in that battle, the marriage Emperor's daughter almost wiped out Wu Yu. She never expected that Wu Yu was still alive under such circumstances. His 9 tribulation furnace burning heaven pillar was destroyed by her, but people resisted. Looking back now, if she only had to devote a little energy to deal with Wu Yu's clone, she would not be seriously injured. Although she may not be able to kill Wu Yu in one go, but a few more times will definitely make Wu Yu return to the West. If she could start all over again, she would naturally know that if she had not underestimated her opponent, she would never have suffered such heavy losses as she did now. She is not willing to give in. "Return my imperial seal, or I will chase you to the end of the world and let you die without a burial place. Don't think you can stay in this ancient soul tower for the rest of your life. If you snatch my Tianling Taoist tool, no matter where you go, I will have a reason let you be cut into pieces." Wu Yu. Behind him, the shrill and angry voice of the married Emperor's daughter echoed. "Chasing me to the end of the world? Don't be like this. Aren't there 3 beautiful men beside you? Although they are worse than me, the key is that I am not interested in you, so you'd better stop being so infatuated with me. I like people at your age. I'm not Wu Yu." Nanshan Wanjiao's voice came from the Golden Vortex, which made the marriage queen almost to death. The 4 of them didn't seem to hesitate much and used their own methods to rush into the Golden Vortex. In fact, they should have been up there, so they had experience. To be honest, as long as the strength reaches the 5th level of the Dao realm, it is not particularly difficult to forcefully pass through here to reach the 5th level. Wu Yu was also teased by Nanshan Wanjiao. He meant that Luo Bin was the age of the emperor's daughter-in-law. However, the emperor and the others were not very clear, so they were confused. Of course, the area around the turtle shield dragon boat is now full of crackling five-color lightning. In almost an instant, the turtle shield dragon boat will shake several times, producing strong shocks. They are now as if they are inside a turtle. Temporarily there is no sense of the terrorist threat outside. But just by listening to the sound, Emperor Zi and the others knew how scary it was outside. Without this emperor's seal, Wu Yu and the others might be able to charge forward with force. Thinking of this, Emperor Yu's eyes were still full of gratitude when he looked at Wu Yu. He knew that his strength could not be used in this ancient soul tower, so he simply gave the decision-making power to Wu Yu. At this time, when the turtle shield dragon ship maintained a certain oscillation and moved steadily upward, much more relaxed than before, Emperor Kairu seemed to see the possibility of getting the flame gold pearl. This made him feel some secret joy, some excitement, and some longing, but his mood was relatively stable and he didn't show it. With a resolute face and firm eyes, Wu Yu penetrated the clouds and mist, took control of the turtle shield dragon boat, and broke through everything to move upwards swiftly. The married emperor's daughter and the others who were chasing after them had long since disappeared. After losing the emperor's seal, they were still a little embarrassed when they had to go to the 5th level. Now that Wu Yu had the turtle shield and dragon ship in hand, he didn't even have the emperor's son. They took the emperor's wife seriously. It would be great if I could have Wu Yu's ability. What do you think, father? If it is really possible for me to get that position, can I make rapid progress and even be comparable to Wu Yu? He just felt that there was no one like Wu Yu around the ancient emperor. His strength was definitely a good thing for Emperor Yu, otherwise he would not even be qualified to come here, but he felt vaguely uneasy. He couldn't tell clearly what this uneasiness was about. Maybe it was because Wu Yu and he were not close friends for the time being. No matter what, everything is under my father's control anyway. Whatever he wants to happen, it will happen. The emperor thought to himself. In less than a quarter of an hour this time, Wu Yu had already driven the turtle shield dragon boat out of the whirlpool of the lightning sea. The turtle shield dragon boat was bombarded countless times this time, but the Tianling Taoist artifact was the sky. The spiritual weapon, these lightning bombardments are indeed powerful, but they only consume a certain amount of Wu Yu's strength. This emperor's seal is a treasure that is both offensive and defensive. It is very strong in defense. At least it has reached the 5th level of the soul tower, so there is no pressure. Wu Yu knew that the 5th level of the soul tower was already the place where the powerful people from the Jambu world gathered. To be honest, if you came here on your own, you would basically be at the 5th level or above. Even if he is not relying on himself, it means that there are masters in his team who are above the 5th level of the Dao realm. For example, the Shadow King in Princess Yuxi's team. Many top demon kings in Nangang Wei's team. This chapter is not over yet, please click the next page to continue reading. After arriving here, Wu Yu first let them stay in the turtle shield dragon boat. He went out alone to see the situation. When he stepped on this land, he found that the ground was all charred black scorched earth, as if it had been burned by fire countless times. When he stepped on it, he could feel the extremely high temperature of the black gravel. Although there is no fire in this world, it is terribly hot. Looking around, the whole world is formed by mountains and abysses formed by uneven scorched earth, crisscrossing, and there is a scorching heat between heaven and earth. This kind of scorching heat, people who can't feel the realm of asking for the way will be burned and melted when they come here, even if they have the purple mansion elemental power to protect themselves. Maybe Le Daizi and others still need the protection of the 7-star guard formation of the iron-winged 7-star insect, otherwise they may be unable to move forward. The higher you go in the ancient soul tower, the more difficult it is. Even the 5th level is so uncomfortable, let alone higher places. Of course, because Wu Yu has an indestructible body, he may be the one who can endure the heat the most in the entire ancient Soul Tower, so he feels that he can still bear it, while others may need to consume their purple palace energy all the time. Soon, he found the source of the heat in this world. He raised his head, and his eyes were almost blinded. Because right above his head, in the center of the azure sky, there is a Sunday. The sun is exactly the same as the one in the outside world, but it seems to be bigger, about the size of a wash basin, and it seems to be very close to him, so he can even see some pits and lines on it. The key is that there are 9 such suns. They are centered on the largest sun, which is about 20% larger than the other 8. The other 8 are distributed in 8 directions, namely southeast, northwest, southeast, southwest, northeast, and northwest. The 9 suns are arranged in a fair and neat manner above the sky. It is precisely because of this that the surging and warm light makes this land so hot. The Emperor's seal is not the 7-star guardian formation. If it is always placed outside to protect Daisy and others, it would be a waste of talent and too high profile. So, Wu Yu let them come out. Of course, Wu Yu still let Daisy's 4 people enter the 7-star guardian formation to avoid being burned by the 9 suns in the sky. Don't look directly at the top of your head. There are 9 suns. Wu Yu explained it to them first. Miracle Daisy and others squinted their eyes in the 7-star guardian formation. After understanding, they all made sounds of admiration. Then everyone was also observing the surroundings. Finally, they reached the 5th level of the Soul Tower. At least they felt that in such a core place, they would be closer to the flame gold pearl. Always taking them with you will affect the combat effectiveness too much. Why not put them in the 1st level? You use 2 puppets to protect them, and we will break through here alone. The possibility of getting the flame gold pearl is higher. Seeing that Wu Yu had to use the 7-star guardian formation to protect them again, Nanshan Wanjiao complained a little and said to Wu Yu secretly, "I also think they are too much of a burden." Yezixi nodded. Wu Yu said, "You think too simply. The water is so deep inside the ancient Soul Tower. I think it is really too difficult to get the flame gold pearl. In addition, there are other reasons. First, for example, Emperor Yu himself will not be willing to stay in the 1st level. He is a person who wants to dominate. If I have a chance to get the flame gold pearl, but he is in the distant 1st level, how can he feel at ease? He must stay in a place where I can quickly hand over the flame gold pearl to him at any time. Second, who knows what the ancient emperor wants to do? There are many people watching outside. We are because of Emperor Li, we have the status to survive in this world of Yamafu. Under such circumstances, we can't just leave them alone. Third, we have this strength now because of the 2nd level ancient emperor's preaching, which is also related to him, otherwise we can't reach the 3rd level at all. Fourth, Emperor Li told me that what he cares about most is the throne. If we can get the Yanhuang gold pearl, he is willing to give us at least half of the treasures inside. The Yanhuang gold pearl contains all the treasures of the pilgrimage of all nations. Even if it is half, the number is incredible. After seeing Wu Yu's great progress, Emperor Li secretly made it clear to Wu Yu. Xuanhuan and the other 3 did not put in much effort. They followed Emperor Li wholeheartedly. Emperor Li just needed to give them some rewards. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1089. Although it is said that Wu Yu will be the main force in snatching the flame golden pearl in the future, Emperor Yu will not be able to exert much effort. But after all, Wu Yu's identity is the envoy of Emperor Yu, and he was appointed by the ancient emperor. Externally, Emperor Yu's son is his object of allegiance. If he wants to get the Yanhuang gold pearl, normally it belongs to Emperor Yu's son, such as marriage. If the emperor's envoy Xuanhuan or Zhang Wenyu and others snatch it away, it will definitely belong to the emperor's daughter. It is normal for the emperor's daughter-in-law to reward them with a large amount of treasures later, but it is basically impossible to divide them in half. No emperor's son is willing to distribute them like this to his subordinates. This is simply an equal share. On the one hand, it was because Emperor Zi knew that he did not have the strength to compete. On the other hand, it was also because he was broad-minded and courageous enough. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Wu Yu was not only considering the Yanhuangju, a pilgrim treasure from all nations, but also had many other implications. Actually, our goal is not to always focus on the flame golden pearl. For example, did we get a huge harvest from the ancient emperor's sermon this time? For example, this emperor's seal, isn't it? So, the ancient soul tower, there is more than just the Yan golden pearl in it, Wu Yu said. And the above were the reasons why he had to keep Emperor Kairu by his side. The relationship between him and Emperor Yu was delicate, and Wu Yu would never embarrass him or force him to have obvious feelings of rejection towards him for the time being. At least now, Emperor Yu is more grateful to Wu Yu. I understand, people have to bow their heads under the eaves. Nanshan Wanjiao smiled. The eaves, this house is the world of Yanfu, and the owner is the ancient Emperor Yezixi guessed what Nanshan Wanjiao meant. Little girl, you are quite smart. Nanshan Wanjiao patted her on the head. That's much smarter than you, Yezixi said. After saying that, Wu Yu and Emperor Yu briefly exchanged information about the surrounding situation. Emperor planned to go to the people of the Yanhuang tribe and ask if there was any latest news about the Yanhuang gold pearl. Everyone was getting ready to set off. They didn't know what dangers lurked in this extremely hot world where even the ground under their feet was scorched. Wu Yu began to patrol the entire world with his piercing eyes. By the way, if the marriage emperor's daughter and the others catch up, they will appear nearby, Yezixi asked. Yes, Wu Yu didn't know whether he would appear in the same place after coming up. If Nanshan Wanjiao hadn't suddenly asked that question, he would have left long ago. Now he is also anxious to leave because there is no need to get entangled with the emperor's daughter anymore, so as not to cause trouble and put yourself in a dangerous situation. Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, the princess-in-law and the three men beside her appeared on a hilltop not far away. They immediately saw Wu Yu and the others at the bottom of the valley. Suddenly, the four of them they separated and chased Wu Yu and others. Zhang was who rushed into the sky to prevent Wu Yu and the others from escaping from the sky, while Xiongzhan and Zhang Wenyu were outflanking them on both sides, and the marriage emperor's daughter was right in front. After losing the imperial seal, she still had many spirits on her hands. The Taoist tools are also very top-notch, and she also has a lot of magical tools. At this time, her combat effectiveness is not far from that of Xiongzhan and others. What should I do? Emperor Zi asked quickly when he met them again. If we don't deal with them, we won't let them leave peacefully. Wu Yu was indeed very domineering, and of course he had a reason to be domineering this time. His sky-devouring body appeared instantly, with the beaming emperor's palace and the Xuezhi sword in his hands, as well as the dream fireflies. After Wu Yu gave some instructions, Nanshan Wanjiao continued to entangle with the Xiongzhan. Last time he tricked the opponent around. As for him, he created a sky-swallowing body, flew into the sky, and faced Yezixi's former opponent Zhang Wuzhu. With the ability of the sky-swallowing body, although he might not be able to kill his opponent, he would basically have no problem suppressing him. If the Emperor's seal is in the hands of the sky-swallowing body, Zhang Wuzhu will have no choice but to die. Yezixi and Dream Fireflies were left to besiege Zhang Wenyu, and they could completely restrict the other party. Before, Yezixi and Dream Fireflies would both suffer when facing one of them alone, but now they join forces and even take down Zhang Wenyu. Not a problem. Therefore, in the three battlefields except Wu Yu's body, the Emperor's side had the upper hand. The marriage emperor's daughter naturally rushed towards Wu Yu at this time. She originally wanted one of the three of them to support her, but all of them was intercepted. This made her particularly angry, but she was not afraid of Wu Yu, because only Wu Yu's body was facing her at this time. She knew that Wu Yu was the only one facing her this time, and where his confidence came from, it must be the Emperor's seal. In just over 10 days, I want to sacrifice and refine the Emperor's seal and control the Emperor's seal. What a wishful thinking! She sneered in her heart. She had seen the turtle shield dragon boat before, which meant that Wu Yu had barely succeeded in the sacrifice. But in an unfamiliar situation, the appearance of her original owner was quite likely to make this Tianling Dao the weapon immediately defected. Think about how much energy she spent to figure out this Emperor's seal and make the other party surrender to her. So, she is confident. When she charged at full speed, Wu Yu stayed on the spot. He was as quiet as a mountain. He didn't move quickly at this time, but the Emperor's seal appeared in his hand. At this time, it was in the form of a dragon sword, and the glass-like blade shines in the sun, and the dragon with wings on the hilt is lifelike. At this time, the heavenly spirit weapon seems to be one with Wu Yu, but the marriage emperor's daughter is clearly on the emperor's seal. She had a strange feeling, which was definitely a sudden and huge blow to her who was full of confidence at this time. When she was still dazed and her speed slowed down slightly, Wu Yu suddenly swung his sword and came in for a violent killing. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The golden rock covers the Heaven Emperor's dragon sword. Numerous magic formations were activated, and the Emperor's seal sword shone incomparably. A rock dragon soared out, covering the sky and blocking out the sun even if there were 9 suns. At this time, under the rock dragon's wings, there was still darkness. In this darkness among them, the Penlong was the sword energy soaring to the sky, violently killing the daughter-in-law. This was the attack array she was most familiar with, but she didn't expect to face it in person at this time. The flying dragon sword energy was fierce, extraordinary, and even stronger than what she had used before. It was like the nightmare-like scene made the daughter-in-law panic immediately. At that moment, there was a sword in her left hand and a tower in her right hand, both of which were top spiritual tools. She hurriedly activated the magic circle and barely resisted the golden pen covering the Sky Emperor Dragon sword, but at this time her heart had collapsed. Even with the powerful Zifu Yuan power, Wu Yu was directly blasted away at this time. The reason why it was blasted away rather than pierced was because her 2 spiritual weapons both slightly offset Wu Yu's sword energy, and one blocked part of it. The tower blocked Wu Yu at the cost of being shattered. This golden rock covered most of the power of the Emperor's dragon sword, but there was still a lot of sword energy rushing towards her, and she was swept away and thrown far away. Impossible. In the air, only the desperate voice of the emperor-in-law's daughter was left. It had only been more than 10 days, and she didn't believe that Wu Yu could even master the golden Pengjishan Emperor Dragon Sword. Of course, if she knew that Wu Yu had mastered everything, she would probably be furious to death. This time Wu Yu basically defeated the opponent with one move. The remaining 3 men were stunned. Under the shock, Wu Yu almost succeeded with his sky-swallowing body and Nanshan Wanjiao. Now the marriage emperor girl, their deaths were unknown, so of course they had to chase after him, and the 3 of them retreated almost at the same time. Wu Yu, the emperor's son. I will definitely settle this account with you, let's see. Zhang Wenyu angrily said a harsh word and walked towards the emperor's daughter whose life and death were unknown. Walk. Wu Yu was too lazy to pay attention to them. He used his own speed and used Beiming Emperor K to entangle the 7-star Guardian formation and quickly left. He probably knew that the injuries suffered by the married emperor's daughter this time were similar to the last time. She would need at least 10 days of recuperation. Since she couldn't catch up anyway, he just needed to get away from them far away. In the 5th level of this huge soul tower, Wu Yu didn't believe that they could still find him. He was found this time because of the special environment of the fourth level of the Soul Tower. It was endless and he could be easily discovered as long as he was in the air. From the fifth level to the sixth level, the only problem should be the 9 suns. These 9 suns are too hot. You have to pass through these 9 suns to get to the sixth level. Probably because Wu Yu and the others saw that there was a large black circle near the 9 suns. The black circle seemed to be relatively close to the sun. The temperature nearby could be imagined. Now it seemed that the entire sky was closed. Only the big black circle looks like a hole that can go up. Should we find someone to ask about the situation first, or should we directly try to reach the sixth level? Wu Yu asked after locking the big black circle. Now that he has a turtle shield and dragon boat, he is still a little sure about going directly to the sixth level. The sixth level of the Soul Tower is definitely more terrifying. Let's get to know the situation a little bit. At least the weakest people on that level are probably the ones at the sixth level of the Dao realm. If your strength reaches that level, you won't have the advantage," said the emperor. What he said made sense, and it was rare that he wasn't too impatient. At this time, they had just left the original fighting location and confirmed that they would not catch up with the marriage emperor's daughter again. Wu Yu was very satisfied with the power of the emperor's seal for the first time. Now that he is at the sixth level of the Wenwen realm, even if he has the heavenly spirit Taoist artifact, Wu Yu is probably no match for him. He can sweep through this realm. They were now moving forward in a deep, charred valley, relatively hidden, but they didn't expect that when they arrived here, there was a sound of applause in front of them. The attacking magic circle that the emperor's envoy defeated the emperor marriage's daughter was really wonderful. I really didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. Someone in front applauded and praised. Wu Yu looked forward. Everything in front of him, including the space, was deformed by the heat. He knew that a group of people were at the corner of the mountain wall ahead. At this time, they had walked out while talking. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Feng Qing Yang. Chapter 1090. When Wu Yu saw this group of people, he couldn't help but sigh that there might not be two weak teams when they came to the fifth level of the Soul Tower, or even higher. Many people here appeared in the form of teams, because they came from the same place and were a group. Some people who acted alone, even if they were strong, would be bullied when they met such a team. So Lone Rangers are a minority, unless they are as strong as Emperor Yu's son. Many Lone Rangers, after suffering losses, had to unite with others. Although a team may not be of the same mind, at least when they encounter a whole team of others, they will not be directly suppressed. Especially from the same clan, or the same cultivation empire. In fact, Wu Yu had seen different people unite in the lower level of the Soul Tower, such as the Dead Spirit Demon clan and Bao Lazi. And the team in front of him was obviously very large. When all of them came out, there were actually 10 people. Most of them were from the Yanhuang clan, so Wu Yu could tell at a glance that this was a team of the Yanhuang clan. Similar to the daughter of Emperor Yin, but obviously stronger. More terrifying. The most of them are actually in the sixth level of the realm of Taoism, and there are 3 in the fifth level of the realm of Taoism, and 2 in the fourth level of the realm of Taoism. It seems that basically all of them have practiced Taoism for more than 400 years. They are the same age as the daughter of Emperor Yin, and there are even older ones with white hair. But it must be said that these are definitely people in high positions in the entire Yanhuang ancient country. After all, their momentum, aura, and demeanor are like those of local tyrants. They have seen many big scenes and control millions of people. The person in front is the one who spoke just now. This person's hair is black mixed with gold, and his eyes are also pure gold. He looks similar to Emperor Yu, but he is obviously much older. He looks like a middle-aged man, but he is a very handsome middle-aged man. His eyes and demeanor are very meaningful. Although this person is wearing a golden robe, he is not fiery, but gentle and elegant, with a gentle complexion. This gentleness shows his profound connotation and erudition, and he seems very easy to get close to. This person is the leader of this group of people, similar to the status of the daughter of Emperor Yin. Needless to say, Wu Yu knew that in the ancient country of Yanhuang, there was such a temperament, accompanied by a top team, that must be the emperor's son. Others have reached this level, but they may not have so many followers. I didn't expect to meet the seventh brother here. After seeing him, the emperor's son Li's eyes flickered slightly, but then he calmed down and bowed slightly to the person in front of him. It turned out to be the seventh emperor's son, who was older than the daughter of the Emperor Yin and was one of the top emperor's sons. No wonder he was so powerful. There was an ancient word "he" between his eyebrows. This should be the emperor's son he. Wu Yu thought back and remembered this person. He was completely different from the daughter of Emperor Yin. It seemed that this person had a very good reputation in the ancient country of Yanhuang. He had a sense of being a wise ruler. Most of the people he made friends with were gentlemen. It seemed that there was never any negative news about him. He had done a lot of good things and had a relatively large reputation among the people. He seemed very kind, but he was not a person who was indecisive. It was rumored that he was a courageous and upright emperor. Compared with the hidden Emperor Yu, he was more famous. So after Emperor Yu met him, he did not show hostility directly like he did when he met the daughter of Emperor Yin. I just happened to pass by here and saw that you had a dispute with my ninth sister. I wanted to help, but I didn't expect that Emperor Li had such ability. He was really hidden. And these two were also quite amazing. We, a group of old guys, were shocked. Indeed, there was a sense of amazement in the eyes of Emperor He. Wu Yu knew very well that the strength they showed now would shock anyone who saw it. After all, they were a group of people less than 100 years old, but they had killed their way to the 5th level of the Soul Tower by themselves. In the entire ancient Soul Tower, there must be only this group of people. They were definitely the group with the youngest average age. While He-Daiza was talking, Wu Yu glanced at the others. He-Daiza also introduced them to him secretly. On the left of He-Daiza was a beautiful woman, wearing a red long skirt, gentle as water, and that kind of gentleness was unforgettable. There were many flower decorations on her head, and many flowers were embroidered on her long skirt, making people feel that this woman seemed to be born among hundreds of flowers. This is what the so-called Qiu Shui Yuren is like. This person was obviously not a Yanhuang clan. Wu Yu had read some information before and had some impression. It seemed that she was from the Fanhua clan of Fanhua Fairyland. Her identity was naturally He-Daiza's Taoist partner, the emperor's concubine, named Huamuchen, and it was said that her parents were also big figures in Fanhua Fairyland. Huamuchen stood beside the He emperor, looking like a good wife, but her strength should not be underestimated, and she had also reached the 6th level of the Dao realm. Then there was another woman, on the other side of the He emperor, who also attracted people's attention. Her temperament was completely opposite to that of the emperor's wife. She wore black tight clothes, outlining her devilish figure. Her delicate and charming face was intoxicating, her eyes were soul-stirring, and her flaming red lips were even more dazzling. Of course, what surprised Wu Yu the most was that this amazing person was a ghost cultivator. The reason why she was not inferior to the emperor's wife, but rather had the intention of competing for beauty, was because she was the He emperor's envoy. Sure enough, there were ghost cultivators among the emperor's sons, which showed that this ghost cultivator was really good. He-Daiza is from the demonic clan, named Suyuji. He was once a genius of the demonic clan, but he mistakenly killed a powerful child in the demonic clan and was saved by my seventh brother Emperor. Emperor said briefly. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. He Emperor's son, Emperor's concubine, and He Emperor's envoy Suyeji are all beings at the 6th level of the Dao realm, so they are no worse than the team of the married emperor's daughter. The married emperor's daughter also has Zhanghua's Hu, and he's emperor's son, and two figures at the 6th level of the Dao realm are accompanying me. These two old men, one tall and one short, are both well-known figures in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. The taller and more powerful one among them is Yuan, the commander of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom's Yellow Dragon Legion. It is not easy to be from an ordinary background, but to be able to reach the 6th level before the age of 472, at least he is better than Chu Yin. There is also a slightly shorter cultivator. Although he is short, he is also very skilled and has extraordinary skills. He is the master of Qi Tianyan, one of the largest mansions in the ancient Yanhuang kingdom, Qiun Palace. There are a total of 5 people who are at the 6th level of the Wendao realm, which are already much stronger than the marriage emperor's daughter. In addition, there are 3 people who are at the 5th level and 2 people who are at the 4th level. All of them are palace masters or some super cities. As the lord of the city, the capital of Emperor He's son is obviously stronger than that of the daughter-in-law. Wu Yu had a little idea at this time. He knew that if there was a war, it might be more difficult and dangerous than facing the marriage emperor's daughter for the first time, especially since there were so many people on the other side. It was basically impossible to protect the emperor's daughter. The conclusion was that it was best not to conflict with the other party. However, Emperor He didn't seem to have such an idea. Emperor Zhu told Wu Yu in advance that he had no conflicts with Emperor He. In the past, he respected Emperor He. He had visited him many times and asked about his spiritual practice. Emperor He agreed to all the questions and answered them carefully. When Emperor Yu was young, Emperor He was very famous. Xiao Yu is really lucky to have an imperial envoy like Wu Yu. After all, he is the imperial envoy personally conferred by his father. Emperor He looked at Wu Yu a few more times and was still impressed. Next to him, Emperor He said to Su Yeji, "I always praise others, so I'm not bad at all." That voice was sweet and tempting. Emperor He laughed loudly and said, "That's natural. My envoy is also the best envoy in the world." Su Yeji was also satisfied, but Wu Yu could clearly see that the emperor's concubine Hua Muchen had some subtle changes in her expression, and she was probably dissatisfied. However, in the end, there were no attacks. He was obviously used to it, and he also clearly felt that the two women were fighting each other. The identity of the emperor's envoy does have a slight conflict with the Taoist companions, which may be a bit embarrassing. Fortunately, the emperor does not have a Taoist companion, and Wu Yu and the emperor are both men. He could see that Emperor He did not guess that the ancient emperor was preaching, but thought that Wu Yu and the others were at this level, so he was quite shocked. But he didn't say much about it. Instead, he asked about the reason for the conflict between Emperor Yu's son and his daughter-in-law. Emperor Yu said, "The main reason is that my sister-in-law is worried that I will perform well and compete for the flame golden pearl, so she wants to suppress me." Unexpectedly, I was defeated by Wu Yu, so Wu Yu took the imperial seal and taught her a lesson to save her money. She always shows off her power and thinks she can teach others whatever she wants. He Daisa frowned and said, "Really, Jumei, at her age, has yet to learn a lesson." She was indeed wrong this time. If you take away the imperial seal, there is no need to return it to her. Take it as a lesson to her bar. He paused and said, "Actually, I think that our Yanhuang tribe should not fight among ourselves at all. The Yanhuang gold pearl is so valuable, and now there are many powerful foreign tribes who are eyeing us. If they encounter us, they will try their best to fight against us. Attack in groups. Our situation in the ancient Soul Tower is very difficult, so I think the most correct way is not to fight among ourselves, but for all our brothers and sisters, all the Yanhuang tribe, to unite together and defeat them first. Foreigners, get the Yanhuang pearl first, and then we can fight for it internally based on our abilities. Otherwise, if the Yanhuang gold pearl falls into the hands of outsiders, we will let our father and the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom be embarrassed." Saying this, He had a big idea, but Wu Yu knew that it would be difficult to realize this, because the flame golden pearl was of great significance to the emperor, and it would be terrifying if there were dissent in unity. Therefore, if they are suppressed by foreign tribes because of disunity, there is no way to avoid it. This is the design of the ancient emperor. However, Emperor Yu had the same idea as Emperor He. He also nodded and said, I also think that the foreign races should be suppressed first. The person who should be in charge of the overall situation is the eldest brother. It's a pity that the eldest brother is not in such a mood. He nodded and said, eldest brother is indeed too low-key and has no sense of responsibility. He only cares about himself. Now I plan to unite with others, Xiao. Let's work together as a group. This way we will be stronger. Let's continue be strong. We must not let the flame gold pearl fall into the hands of foreigners. Does he want to unite? Wu Yu knew that he was his real purpose. The key is that Emperor Yu was thinking about it, and based on his respect and trust in Emperor He seemed to have this intention.